and you say I'm pessimistic, Uzo. like unless it's being sarcastic, believe me,
No, I'm not. But who
I
don't
am
knows?
even my
I've been
own
trying.
pessimism is nowhere near. Is nowhere near bright.
Now let's leave sentiment aside, and this is always my conversation with Uzo, where I'm going now. Let us tell ourselves the truth. Most of the people that love and trust Arteta is based out of sentiment. We have no evidence, we have no proof, we have no reason, we have no cause, we have nothing at all. This is what season is he now in Arsenal? Let's go back to last season. I told people from the beginning of the season, when we started performing, we were performing because Granit Xhaka was doing well. And that's the only thing that I've seen Arteta do. Getting Xhaka in a position where he was less destructive as a player and he was more creative and supporting the Arsenal thing. But you don't stay there as a coach. As a coach, you have to be dynamic. That's where there is the Guardiola and the rest of them. He's a dynamic coach. Guardiola cannot play you twice and play the same pattern. He will never do that. Especially if you play him the way we played him when it came to the Emirates Stadium. He would find a solution to the problem, but Arteta will do the same thing again and again and again. Example today. What was that nonsense we played today? I don't get it. How can Nottingham Forest be penetrating our defense with a player that Man U threw away? How? The guy can barely control the ball. And he was painting our defense. Why? Because a coach made a silly decision that has cost us injury to Timber. You didn't buy Timber to be a left back. You want to sell Tierney, that's fine, but play him. So for me, I feel the guy is a flawed coach. We're just sentimental. The classic Arsenal or sentimental people. The Cronkies will not spend money. They'll look for the cheapest in the market that they can plan with. And then trust the process, we'll watch it. That's just an introduction to the
I'll
session.
take it from so I'll take it from where you ended. Not really. So you said
please tell me. So the whole idea.
Okay, you said one thing about Pep, or you were making comparison with Arteta. You're making comparison.
I can't compare. I didn't make compare. I can't compare Arteta to Pep at all.
No. Of course I know, but you were talking about the unpredictability of Pep that Arteta doesn't have. No doubt. I agree. If it was last season, I agree. But this season, he has been saying, since the preseason, he has been saying the same thing, and we saw it in this game. And I think I made some comment about it. I'm not sure on the donors group or on another group. He has been saying that he's been looking for some varieties, that the players are working with different varieties and different formation. Like he spoke about Kai, and I think he spoke about Timber as well. Like they've been working with different formation that they don't, and Rice also. Basically the new players that they've been working with different formation, different varieties. That he hasn't actually seen the right, variety for the actual player. But he kept saying one thing, that these players can play in different positions. He said Rice can play as a 6, can also play as an 8. Basically the same position Xhaka was playing. And also Kai can play as a striker, can play this and that. And we've seen Kai play. He played 3 positions today. He played as a left, and on the left side, he also, when Keita came out, he also played the striking position, the same position he played against mine. So we've kind of seen that based on the first game, and even a little bit based on last week's game against Man City, we've kind of seen that unpredictability played out. for example, if you check before the game started, like an hour before the game, the formation is always out. I'm sure you have different apps where you check the formation of Arsenal. If you were checking those apps, you would see that those apps couldn't place the right formation Arteta brought out. Some apps actually used three men in defense, as in the formation they brought out. It had three men in defense. Some had four. Some had Declan Rice in defense. Like, just some had Declan Rice. Exactly. Just based on that, you would know that he set out to make his team unpredictable. Yeah, I'll segue into the game itself. It was the game kind of is strange. The performance was actually very strange to me in the sense that last week we showed our mental strength kind of in playing Man City. We played them in the same way. We played them like we went toe to toe to them. We played them like we were the same on the same level. This is a Man City, even on our best day, on our best moment, they're always walloping us, beating us. I like your is that your son? Is that your son?
Yeah. Oh, you can
Yeah.
see him.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Nice to see you. Hello. So yeah. So
Ethan, say hello.
sorry. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing? What's up? I hope it's a gunner as well. I'm sure it's a gunner. But I hope it's not as pessimistic.
He doesn't have a choice now. He doesn't
I
have a
hope it's
choice now.
not as pessimistic as you
He
are.
doesn't have a choice.
So we went toe to toe with Man City. Yeah, we went toe to toe with Man City last week, and which was kind of different. In Man City, we're always walloping us, except in the FA Cup where we won. Ateta's winning FA Cup competition when he won the first or the only trophy he has won so far. We went toe to toe with them, and we came out tops, or we somehow came out tops based on the penalty that came out. So yeah, somehow because it was the last minute goal and won a penalty. Yeah, but today it was kind of strange. Yeah, I understand we're playing at 18. So that's understandable because that was from a counter attack, very swift counter attack. And yes, I'll go to the formation again. Um, we basically played Partey at right back throughout the game until Gabriel came in. Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
it
yes.
was
It was
played
right
at
back.
right. And Partey is not one of the fastest players we have in the team. So, and I'm sure I was even surprised the opposing coach of Nottingham Forest didn't bring in Malanga, or what's that
Melanga.
previous? Yeah, Malanga didn't bring Malanga in time
Ilanga.
to
Sorry. Ilanga.
Malanga. Yes,
Ilanga.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should I even know Manchester players? Anyways, I'm sure. Sorry, I really dislike mines. So I'm even surprised they didn't bring him earlier to worry Partey on that right side. I mean, his first the first thing he did led to a goal. The first his pace from the counter attack we had, and his pace on that our right side instantly led to a goal. Which is to say, if he had been playing maybe 30 minutes to the game, we would have really been worried based on the fact that Partey was in that position. But that is understandable. It was from a counter attack. So it's understandable that during a counter attack, you usually keep a high line. It's understandable. But the reason why I said the game is strange is that I mean Yeah, we won. It's 3 points. I mean, that's no matter how much you game, 3 points is the most important. I mean, he said it himself. Ateta said it himself post game in his press conference. He said the most important thing is 3 points, and the fact that they took their eyes off the second half.
I think Arsenal is not a small club by any chance at all. Our level of competition should be high enough to meet the Manchester United and the Manchester Cities and the Chelseas. One of my biggest pain is the fact that Man City came from behind us. A totally, if I'm having a meeting, okay? A totally worthless club at the time to win multiple trophies and the Champions League. Chelsea came from behind and they won 2 Champions Leagues and multiple, okay? And multiple Premier Leagues. Now, I watched Man City's game yesterday, and the reason I was in the office, the reason, if you watch the game, Burnley played very well. They played very well. But you see, you can play as well as you want to play. When you meet a top team, all they need is create those chances and put the goals in. They lost Kevin De Bruyne to injury. They brought in Mateo Kovacic. It did not look as if they were missing a top player like Kevin De Bruyne. I was hoping that, okay, Arteta would have looked at that and said, okay, these are the people that we're competing with. I need to put up a show tomorrow and make a statement. When I saw the lineup, I was very surprised. One, Gabriel, our best defender, you didn't start him. And I'm wondering. And I'm going back to last season to say, I remember this guy experimenting with this team and we getting swallowed and whooped by teams that should not even be close to us. It was the experiment we did against Southampton, and before we knew, we're 2 goals down. It was the experiment we did against one other team before we knew. So I expect that the coach will learn from mistakes. And Kai Havertz, for example, I don't like him as a player. I feel he's a very lazy player. And every game he plays, the only game that he has attempted to show any form of, fight was the game against Man City. We don't need one-off players. We need players like Gabriel Jesus that will give us 100 out of 100 every game, every time. We need players like Trossard, for example. I don't see any reason why Trossard is on the bench. He has proven himself again and again and again and again. But once you are not a player that Arteta really likes, you can play the best you can. He just will do what he wants to do to you. And you have to be a top coach to do that. And that's my point. You have to be a Pep Guardiola or a Jurgen Klopp to look at a João Cancelo and say, you know what? They're going on loan. Once you are not there yet, don't act like you are there. If you don't have it, you don't have it. You must be humble enough to build to that level. Arteta doesn't look to me like that coach who is humble enough to build to that level. Before the advent of Arteta, Tierney was almost our best player. Week in, week out, Tierney was performing. And then you come, you just put him on the bench. You bring in a Zinchenko. Zinchenko is not a top player, excuse me. He's not a top player at all. He's not. He wasn't starting in Man City. He was always coming in. He's not a top player. If you tell me he's not a top player, okay, fine. Coaches will build their own team. That I agree. But don't just axe this guy and kill his game as a player. And it's going to the point where Tierney can almost not even kick a ball. That for me is a problem because to do the kind of things Arteta wants to do, you have to be a certain kind of coach. You have to be either a Guardiola or what's the name of the coach in Real Madrid, or a Jurgen Klopp, Ancelotti, or Zidane. You must have something to prove. Right now, you don't have anything. You have nothing. Nothing at
So,
all. Your cabinet
so,
is zero.
so I will counter. I'm going to counter your point. I mean, I was supposed to earlier on as well about your opinion on Arteta. Um, I do not think I do not think he's that bad as you are painting him, and he might not be a top coach in the same level of the names you are calling based on obvious reasons because he hasn't won trophies or he hasn't proven it with trophies. I agree with that. But he's not anywhere bad. I mean, if you if you remember how Pep started, it's also similar. It's somehow similar. The only difference was Pep had a Messi and Xavi and Iniesta. Anybody who has those kind of players will win trophies day in day out. Luis Enrique used those guys to win a treble. I'm not saying Luis Enrique, but what I'm saying is if you have those players, you win trophies if you know what you are doing. So that was the difference between the Pep and Arteta. I mean, Arteta started with players like Cedric, Mari. Um, I mean, I remember a starting lineup against Crystal Palace in the first game. Only two are remaining: Saka and Shaka, and Shaka has left. Is to show how bad that team was. Even a Pep, even a Pep would have been bad. That I mean, Pep first season in Man City, the only thing he won was a what am I saying? They didn't even win Carling Cup. I'm not sure now, but I can't remember. But let's just assume he won for the sake of argument. The only thing he
I
won
don't think he won
was,
anything in his first season.
I mean, you see, and that was Pep, the so-called great coach. He couldn't win with a Man City with endless funds. I mean, with endless, with state money. So I disagree. I mean, I disagree with you on your opinion on Ateta. Ateta has proven over the last 3 years that he can be one of the best, if not the best. I mean, his first season, he won an FA Cup. And he didn't just win an FA Cup by luck or played with teams that were unceremonious. He played with Man City, the same Pep in the semis, and played with Chelsea.
Yeah, he
Who
played
thought Man City
in the
and
semis. He
Chelsea?
played Chelsea. In the final, he
No,
played Man
Man City
City.
played Chelsea. Semis he played
Yeah,
Chelsea. Sorry, semis he played Man City.
yeah. Man
Then
City was
final.
Man City was final.
No, Man City was semis. It was semis. Final was Chelsea.
It was semis. Okay, okay.
Yeah, final was Chelsea against Lampard, against the Lampard's Chelsea, and won the FA Cup. The following season, he won his game against Liverpool, and that was the second time he was beating Liverpool club. And remember, it was with a bad team. I repeat, it was with a bad team. We had the likes of Mustafi.
Um, I think Bukayo played well. Um, I think Partey didn't play badly. In as much as I don't think Nketiah is national quality, I think he did his best. That goal was a beautiful goal
Not
by
surprised.
any standard.
I would have even been surprised if you
You
actually
know,
said Inter was a quality.
yeah, yeah, he's not a national player. He's not a national level player at all. But again, he's trying his best. You won't. I think, in fairness to him, I personally underrate him a lot. And I'm happy I do because he keeps proving to someone like me that if he has the opportunity, he'll do well. But I think the formation we started with was wrong. I think Nottingham Forest to use the first half to try and study us now, and then they were hit twice, and he got his priorities right in the second half, and we saw how the game was. The Packers played the entire second half, on our side of the field, and then he made two good changes. They came in, subs changed the game for them. They could have won, but again, we could have extended our goal. The positives for me, Odegaard, I'm very happy about Odegaard. Reason is, again, I'm not a big fan of his 100%. I feel he's not as good as being touted. I feel he's a good player. Yeah, he's a good player, but he's not as good as being touted. But I've seen a lot of improvement in Odegaard over the preseason. One, last season, Odegaard was lucky with most of the goals that he scored because there were more placements than shots. But now his leg is hitting the ball with some strength. So I'm just imagining if Odegaard, his ability to place the ball and he adds more strength to it, he should score more goals this season. And I think I'm happy about him now. And I'm looking, I'm having high expectations of him now, And then who else? I feel Saliba kind of missed Gabriel. I feel he felt very isolated. I feel Ben White was lost to the game. He just didn't know what he was doing. Maybe because he hasn't played that, position for a long time. So I can understand because I call Ben White personally, I call him a very safe player. With Ben White, on that right side, he's very safe. His errors are quite minimal. So overall, I'll say, okay, I'll rate the team a 7, generally. But there were standouts. There was Bukayo Saka. There was a Partey who needs help. Declan Rice. I kind of feel that Declan Rice, and I'm sure you agree with me, he's not a 100 million player. He's not at all. He's not a 100 million player. But I feel Declan Rice can play the Shaka role and he can play it better because he's more pacey than Shaka. So I feel if Arteta can do with Declan Rice what he did with Shaka, then we might. Because once Shaka gassed out last season, Partey was exposed entirely. So if Partey needs protection from the front, he needs a sweeper from the front so that he can do his Partey, job where he can clean up in front of the defense, look at the field, give those expansive passes, open up the game, move the ball forward, and then once we can do that, the season might just be better for us. But Arteta has to change his Arteta ways. He has to.
Okay, so I'll take it from the stand-up player. I'll take it from two um ways. For what Martinelli did to get the first goal when it didn't look like we were going to score. The way, I mean, it's exactly. Yeah,
I
that
don't think it was a
was that
pass
was.
though.
It wasn't the pass. It was actually the turn. Like it's turning the way it turned two players. That was actually brilliant. Yeah, it was the turning. Yeah, the way it turned two players. I mean, the way it turned in between two players. So that singular brilliance from Martinelli actually opened up the game for us in the first half because we weren't effective in terms of chances being created. We were nowhere being effective. Yet we were passing around their defense and they were actually comfortable with the way we were passing around in front of their defense. And I know comfortably contained Saka before the goal comfortably contained Saka before the goal. But after that goal, I would say Saka for me. I mean, he just came alive in the first half after that goal. He came alive. Like he needed something to bring him to the game. And that goal from Iketia brought him to the game. His his goal was breathtaking, no doubt. It
Yeah,
was breathtaking.
that was a brilliant goal.
There on, from there on, I know gassed out completely. He couldn't lay a glove on him. He earned a yellow card for bringing him down at some point. He couldn't lay a glove on Saka in that first half after that goal from Nketiah. He was being run around from Saka. So for me, Saka actually overall, and this is just the first half, because for me in the second half, no one came to the party. Yes. So it was a game. I mean, it was a game of two halves for me. We were very brilliant in the first half. Not very, but after that goal, we were very brilliant. Because prior to the goal, we were just passing the ball. We weren't creating chances, weren't effective in the third half of the field. We're just passing around. But once that goal came, once Nketiah scored that goal from the individual brilliance from Martinelli, we just came alive. And we could have probably, scored 3, 4, 5 goals in that same first half.
Yeah.
So based on that first half, for me, Martinelli based on his brilliance and Saka based on his um, the overall way he played. Yeah, the overall performance, exactly.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. So in the first half again, none of them did badly. None. Okay, maybe I would say Kai. Kai, based on the fact that on the ball, it was nowhere. So you asked who didn't do well. You didn't ask who was the worst player or who was terrible. So I'm not going to come out and say exactly. I'm not going to come out and say Kai was terrible today. Nah, I'm not. Though all of them were below par in the second half. All of them, they were below par in the second half, and I am so sure it was because we didn't have an extra body in the midfield. Once Timber went out, our midfield, we couldn't control the ball in the midfield. Tomiyasu is not that kind of player who could come into the midfield, make passes.
But he had a bit of a good game when he came on, though.
We didn't need him. In terms of defense, Tomiyasu is one of the best. I would say one of the best. I don't want to say defenders, but one of the best defenders who you could rely on when you want to defend deep. That's where Tomiyasu is good at. You could see going forward,
So,
you can't rely on Tomiyasu going forward. So when Timber came off, where he got that unfortunate injury and came off, we weren't as assertive as we were in the first half. So I think that was why we didn't do well. Coupled with the fact that I think the players thought, which was kind of surprising. I think the players thought like, we scored 2 goals, we're comfortable. We can probably just throw, and which is surprising because that's yeah, that kind of contradicts what Mikel, its mentality about you must be in the game all the time, no matter what. I was surprised, and what got me surprised the most, I told one of my fellow Gunners, what got me surprised the most was when Nottingham Forest scored immediately. Ateta brought in Gabriel to remove Gabriel. Brought in the defender, which is Gabriel, to remove the attacker.
Martinelli.
Martinelli. I had to look again. who are we playing with? We're not playing Man City. We're not playing
Exactly.
Liverpool. We're not playing Chelsea or Man. We're playing Nottingham Forest. Why will you be that scared to keep a lead just because they've scored a goal? That got me scared from Ateta himself, not even from the players. That got me scared from Ateta. Like this, I will align with what Bright said about the fact that there is no. I understand you want to be unpredictable, you want to be tactical, you want to be all that, but the first game of the season, there is no reason to keep one of your best defenders from last season. Though he is not the best, he is not our best defender. Saliba remains our best defender, no doubt. But there is no reason to keep. The reason for Gabriel absence was tactical. So I would go with the reason. I mean, the reason the what was released was tactical, nothing else. So I'll go based on that reason. And for me, yes, like I said, I understand why you want to remain unpredictable. I understand why you want to remain tactical. I understand all those. But I think personally, it shouldn't be done in the first game of the season. I believe you should keep what worked last season and you should bring it in
Yeah.
into this season. But I think we are getting ahead of ourselves. So I would stick with, just to answer that Kai Havertz question. I would say it's unfortunate that he's being roasted on Twitter and all, because he wasn't bad. He was nowhere bad. Yes, he didn't have exactly, he didn't have a great game, but off the ball, I will stay with that first half again. Off the ball, off the ball, he was incredibly hardworking. The way he was getting on loose balls, the way he was winning the balls in the first half. And that was why at one point we had almost 85% of possession
Yeah.
and we kept
83%,
them
80,
totally at
87-13.
87-13 and we kept them
Yeah.
totally at bay in their half. One of the reasons was because Kai was incredibly hardworking in that first half. Based on that, that is why I would not roast him, or that is why I would not come out to say it was terrible. Yeah, I get.
They were even, they were even, so I didn't watch after the Arsenal game. I went to play, football myself. So I wasn't interested in the other games. I just thought I'll come back and I'll watch the highlights. But I was surprised when I saw that Aston Villa, Newcastle, especially because during the holidays and preseason, Aston Villa was being talked about as the team that might want to compete for the top four, blah blah blah. And I'm looking, want to compete with the top four with this shambolic performance. I can't, I don't understand it. How can you be? But again, Newcastle is a different Newcastle. So they're a different Newcastle. Eddie Howe is a coach I admire a lot. I was hoping he was going to coach us now at the point. And he has proven me right over and over again, how he has transformed Newcastle. And this is where, I want to talk about something you had mentioned. Eddie Howe has kept the squad that he met in Newcastle, and he has added just a few players. Bruno Gimenez, this guy from Sweden, what's that his name? Um, yeah, he's the person. Yeah, the tall guy. He has Alexander Isak. He converted their captain, who was a striker, was a flop, to a midfielder. For me, he was one of the best midfielders last season. This Brazilian guy,
Joan,
Joelinton. Joelinton is
Joan
a totally, yeah, different player. He's a beast. He's the anchor point of everything Newcastle is doing. So, talking about coaches and doing things, that's one coach as an example. But again, I just feel Aston Villa, again, Aston Villa is going to be Aston Villa. They'll come and make a lot of noise and they'll beat a few teams. They'll, cause an upset against maybe Arsenal or Man City. But they're always going to be, from the sixth position down. They're not going to come to the top four. That's a very tough place to be, And, yeah, it's a tough place to be. I'm really hoping Arsenal is going to keep that position this season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Rashford wanted to sign a new contract and he wanted to show. Remember what Walcott always do. Remember what Walcott always do on his
But I
last
think
year.
Rashford is not a bad player though.
I'm not saying he's a bad player, no. But come on, Rashford scoring almost 30 goals. How many goals did he score last season? Really, Rashford scoring almost that amount of goals in a season. We don't know Rashford to score that number of goals in a season. Okay. We don't know Rashford to score that number of goals in a season. And he did it on his last year of his contract.
Your internet is really breaking.
Oh, really? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, seriously breaking. It's not me in Nigeria or the UK. No wonder. Yeah, that's why the internet is.
Yeah. But can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So
Yes.
I was talking about Rashford based on the fact that he had to play well because he needed, to sign a bumper contract and he delivered. We had a player who was always doing that in the last decade, Walcott, where he would deliver on his last year of his contract just to sign a bumper contract. So it's not new to me. So on the other games today, yeah, Newcastle, no doubt, they made a statement, and I mean beating Aston Villa 5-1 is no fluke, especially an Aston Villa team that has improved in the last 1 year under our previous coach, Unai Emery. That was surprising. That was a very surprising result. I thought the game was going to really be closer than that. One goal thereabouts. It was not shocking, but it was surprising. Sorry, it was surprising, no doubt. So Newcastle has made a statement. They are not going anywhere. If you think last season was a fluke, they are so good. And why are we surprised? So why are we surprised? I mean, they are backed by state funds. They are backed by state funds, really. So they have no reason not to do well. But
But I think so. I think it's going to be. No, go on, Rotimi. Go on.
okay. For the other team, Brighton, they've shown that no players can hold them to ransom. Not Casedo, and not
Yeah.
Casedo. They've shown today with their victory that no players can hold them to ransom. That is why they've been insistent on the right price for Casedo. Because they know how good they are with or without Casedo. And they proved that today. I actually watched that game, Brighton, and they were exactly the way they were last season. And this was a team without two of their best players from last season, McAllister and Casedo. And they were the same.
McAllister and Caicedo.
System, the way they were playing, structure, as in it was impressive. I really really enjoyed Brighton, and I'm a fan of this Sebi. I mean, you are a fan of Owe. Sorry, yeah, the Newcastle coach. I am a fan of De Zerbi. Eddie Howe, sorry, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I am
Howe.
a big fan of De Zerbi, and not just because of last season. I've followed De Zerbi from his previous career at Sassuolo in Italy. Sassuolo was an unceremonious team. That team it's a new team. It's like that team is like Brentford in the Italian league. And when they got to the Serie A and when De Zerbi coached them, it turned that team into a very interesting team. They were known for scoring a lot of goals and conceding a lot of goals. Like once Sassuolo plays the likes of Juventus or Inter Milan, you would expect to see 7 goals scored in that game. That was how Sassuolo was under De Serbi in the Italian league. It was one of the most interesting teams. And I don't know if you know what he did with Shakhtar before the unfortunate war that happened. Um, Even Shakhtar was actually an interesting team to watch under De Zerbi as well, especially in the Champions League.
Well, so for
Is it?
me, I agree with Rotimi 100%. De Zerbi, you know, has a pedigree. Even before Sassuolo, he had coached, was it before, after? He had coached a team that he won, you know, trophy with. He's a very flamboyant coach. His style of play is expressed in every team, and that's why he's not afraid to lose a player. Andre Trossard, for example, was going owl. He put him on the bench. He didn't bat an eyelid. And these are the kind of things I'm expecting Ateta to do. To have a reason for you know for pessimists like me to trust certain decisions you take. And this is one of those. When Brighton held their ground and said, "This is how much we're going to sell this player for. If you don't pay it, we don't go anywhere." They were not afraid at all that if this guy leaves, they they have an eye. They are scouts. They have fantastic scouts. They know how to scout for players. They have, if you look at all their players, one thing about Brighton, look at their players, especially their midfield. That's their midfield triangle. All their players are about the same height, all the same height, same physique, same style of play. Yeah, you've got to look at it. So they have a pattern of their players that they want to have. They have a style they are looking for in their players. They don't need to be the best. They just need to be bold enough. I remember when what's the name of this guy that plays for them now? Oh my God, keep forgetting their names. I remember when he first started when De Zerbi first started playing him. The guy was kind of shy, to do certain things. But now the guy is a beast. In the midfield, he supports the striker. What's his name again? I keep forgetting his name. I remember his name now. He's not Asian. No, not that guy. That's what's Mitoma, not Mitoma. Um, the guy he's a South American player. Um, yeah,
Yes.
he's South American. Fantastic player. He's a flair player. But I remember when he started, I remember his first game. He was very shy. He couldn't do certain things. But after a while, I don't know what Zebi told him. The guy bust out. He scored the goal against Man City last season, the last game. That fantastic, collar he took from outside of the 18. He has become bolder and bolder and bolder. These are the kind of things no, no, no. And yeah, yeah, and Ciso, you know, fantastic player. I thought
And
Teta was
it
going to
was
buy
actually impressive to
that and
Joao
Ciso, but I
Pedro.
was really hoping. He's a
It was
fantastic player. If we are losing a player like Shaka,
I was commenting on what Uzo said about Joe Pedro. It was impressive today. It was very good today. I mean, he has seamlessly been integrated into the Brighton team, and it was very impressive today. Yeah, it was very impressive. Wow, top six. I think Man City of it. I really don't see us. Or really, we really Man City will still win the league. I've not seen any reason why we topple them. Second, us. We are still better than the rest. Yeah, second, us. We are still better than the rest, no doubt. Man U, Manchester United. I, I don't know what I said. Man U, but Man U has actually done well in the transfer window to actually keep their position in the third place. Then fourth, I thought based on what I saw today, I think Newcastle will still keep their fourth place. Based on what I saw today. So I don't see Liverpool or Chelsea sneaking into the top four. And due to obvious reasons. Liverpool still need a number six. They've not gotten a replacement for Fabinho or Henderson. If they don't get a replacement for any of those two, they would concede a lot of goals. And conceding a lot of goals will not give you the edge over the top teams. For Chelsea, it's still the transfer window is still as it's still all over the place like last season. For me, they've really not improved the team. What they've done is, yes, they've gotten an interesting coach who has done well previously with Tottenham. But aside that, if you look at the team, they've been all over the place as usual. It's really not different. I mean, they are about to overspend on Casado, and they've not even gotten him yet. Their midfield is they only have Enzo and Gallagher in their midfield. That is an incredibly loose midfield. So I really don't see Chelsea doing anything. And obviously, the less said about Tottenham, the better.
Yeah. So I think it's painful, but I think Man City is going to keep the league. It's very painful. You know, for me, I see Man City winning the league, Liverpool coming second, Arsenal coming third, Man U coming fourth, Newcastle coming fifth, and Brighton coming sixth. That's how I see the season.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.